Hi everybody, I'm Emily with the Quilted Cow, and today I'm super excited to show you the final accessory in our back home pillow accessories for 2024. This is the December Cozy Cocoa accessory. First though, let's thank our sponsors. We're sponsored by Husqvarna Viking Machines and Creative Grids Cutters, Mats, and Rulers. So let's get started. All right, so we're ready to get started with this accessory. Now, if you don't know, this is our back home pillow series. We started with the pillow itself, and you can purchase a kit for the pillow itself. It comes with all the fabric that you need to make a quilted pillow. It also comes with the finger snaps, and it will come with a paper pattern inside of the kit. So head on over to our website, grab yourself the kit for the pillow if you don't already have one. But the great thing about this is that you can unsnap each accessory and change it out however often you want to, every season, every month, however often that you want to. We have done a monthly accessory series, and each accessory comes with all of the fabric that you need to make the front. It'll have the backing, it has some interfacing, and it also has the finger snaps and a paper pattern included in the kit. So those are available on our website as well. thequiltedcow.com, check them out. Go grab yourself the pillow if you don't have it, the accessory kits if you want them, whichever ones that you want. They are all available. Like I said, this is the final one for 2024. This is our December accessory, the Cozy Cocoa accessory. So check that out. Let's get started making this though. I will have to say that there are a lot of pieces to this. So when you're cutting out your pieces, you grab your pattern, start cutting out your pieces. When you're cutting out your pieces, you want to label each piece as you go along so that you know where it's going to go on the pattern. The pattern is going to have a picture that has all the letters for you. We have these handy ABC 123 pens. They are magic pens and they're really great. You can use them to label your A through N pieces, and you just stick the pin in and label each one as you go along. There's also numbers, everything like that. This is great for quilting as well. So check those out, grab those. Otherwise, you can mark the back of them with a friction pen, however you want to label your pieces. But it is important, especially with as many pieces as we have on this one, to label each one as you go along. Another couple of things I want to touch on. First, make sure you're doing as accurate of a 1/4 inch seam allowance as you can do. This is especially important. There's a lot of seams that are going in this, and so if you're not very accurate, if your 1/4 inch seam allowance is too small, you're going to end up with pieces that are too big for the final size that it needs to be. If it's too large, they're going to be too small. So you want to be as accurate as you can with your 1/4 inch seam allowance. So let's go ahead and talk for just a second about the process of making this. So there's a lot of what we call flippy corners or snowballed corners. Very basic on these. To do these, you're going to take one of your squares, and it will be either a background square or it'll be another color square, and it's on the pattern. You take one of your squares, you're going to draw a diagonal line corner to corner on the wrong side of that square. Once those lines are drawn on the pattern, it's going to tell you a specific fabric piece to put it on: the top right, top left, bottom right, bottom left corners, whichever part that it needs to go on those pieces. Once you do that, you're going to stitch on the line. After you've stitched on the line, let me grab a small ruler here. You're going to come over and put your ruler, the 1/4 inch line of your ruler, on that line that you stitched on, and you're going to trim it a 1/4 inch away. And once you've got that done, you're going to press this open, and that's called a snowball corner. And sometimes we like to jokingly call them flippy corners. So I've got one more corner here that I need to do. So I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to press this open, and we're going to put these back in their spots where they go. But this is the bulk of the work on this block. So not a lot of weird angles, not a lot of weird pieces. There's only one piece that we have to worry about exactly where it's going to go. It's kind of an odd angle. So I'm going to put that back there. I'm going to put this back here, get rid of that. And we're going to make the Z. So if you notice on the pillow, the Z has kind of a strange angle here. what we're gonna do, and it's super simple to do this. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take one of our rectangles and we're gonna draw a diagonal line from the top left corner to the bottom right corner on both of these rectangles here. Same direction. Once we get that, we're gonna place it to where it is 1 3/4 inches over from the top left corner. So that top left mark is gonna be 1 3/4 inches over from the top left corner. And then it's gonna be 1/4 inch up from the bottom left. So we're gonna place it so that it's going to position, and once it's stitched, it's going to come down at this angle here and cover up that corner here. So if you're putting this and you're positioning it on there, you can always test it by folding your fabric over, making sure that it covers up that top left corner. So I'm gonna go ahead and stitch this, and then once I stitch it, I'm going to trim 1/4 inch seam allowance and press it open. I'm gonna show you what that looks like whenever I get back. This is, by the way, right sides together. Whenever you place your square, your rectangle, however you're doing it, whatever flippy corner that you're doing, you're gonna place them right sides together, stitch on the line, trim 1/4 inch away, and press open. So let me get that done. I'll show you what that looks like when I get back. All right, so the first corner of that Z is done. Now, we've got two options. We can either flip it over and position it the same thing again, 1 3/4 over, or you can keep it in position to where that's the top left, and now we're gonna cover the bottom right corner. So if we do that, it's the same process. So we're going to take it to where the top left corner is gonna position 1/4 inch down from the bottom right corner, and then, 1/4 inch down from the top right corner, and then the bottom left corner is going to position to where it is 1 3/4 inches in from that bottom right corner. So it's going to position directly opposite the first rectangle. So whenever we sew that on, and like I said, if you want to test it whenever you do this, you can always fold it over and make sure that that's going to cover the bottom right corner of that rectangle. So I'm going to take this over to my machine. Now, if you want to make sure that this stays in position, you can always put a pin in here just to hold it where it needs to go if you need to. But I'm pretty good about getting it over to the machine. So take it over. I'm going to stitch on the line, trim 1/4 inch away, and press it open, and I'll show you what that looks like when I'm finished. All right. So I have the middle of my Z finished, and that was really super simple. So once you've got all of your snowballed corners done, you've got your Z done, lay out your block the way it needs to go and the order it needs to go in, and then we can start putting things together. I do want to mention before I move on, though, the heart that's in the middle of the mug, you're going to start by doing the top left corner first or the top right corner first, whichever one you do. But you're going to start with one of the top corners, you're going to sew, you're going to trim, you're going to press, and then you're going to put the other corner on because they do overlap a little bit. And then you can do the bottom right corner on one and the bottom left corner on the other. And that's going to make your heart whenever that all goes together. So let's go ahead and get that started. Another quick thing that I have mentioned before that I don't know if you have heard it before, but I like to use what's called a spider or a leader and ender with my piecing so that I don't have to stop and cut my threads between every single square or anything like that. I'll chain piece as much as I can. Once I get done chain piecing, then I'll put my leader or ender in there, and then I'll just trim off, and I'll trim off all the chain pieces and go with that. So that I'm piecing as much as I can, and then I'm pressing as much as I can, and then I'm piecing and pressing, and so I'm not jumping up and down every 2 seconds whenever I'm doing these. So I'm going to start with the mug. Let's go ahead and get that together. So I made my hot cocoa portion of it. I've got the mug pieces. I've got the heart that's pretty well planned out so far on the bottom of the mug. I have over here is my handle. And then I've got the extra pieces of background that I need. So I'm going to start putting this together. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and put this row here together, the heart row. Whenever I do this, I'm going to go ahead and start by adding the left side of the mug to the left side of the heart, and then the right side of the mug to the right side of the heart. And then I'm going to add the heart together. So I'm going to put these together, press them open, and then I'm going to put the two heart pieces together. So I'm gonna get that finished and I'm gonna show you what this row looks like whenever I'm done with it. So I'll be right back with that done. All right, so I have my heart portion done that's in the middle of the mug, and I'll let you know, I generally say press to the path of least resistance. So wherever you have the least number of seam allowances that you're pressing towards, go ahead and press the seam towards that side where there's no or few seam allowances. On the back of the heart though, in the middle, I went ahead and pressed that open because that's just gonna get everything to lay flatter. It's gonna lay a little bit nicer for you. So there's a few places on this block that I'm gonna recommend that you press your seam allowances open. Otherwise, however you want to press your seam allowances, you press your seam allowances. So the next step in here is to go ahead and put all of these pieces of the main part of the mug together. So I'm going to start by putting the cocoa to the top of the mug, the heart to the bottom of the mug, and then I'm going to put those together, and I'm going to show you what that looks like whenever I get back. All right, so I got the mug put together. You'll notice the hot cocoa part on top and then the main part of the mug with the heart in the middle. Now we need to make the handle. In order to make the handle, we're gonna stitch the top part of the handle to the middle part here, and we're stitch these three pieces together, and then we're gonna put the outside of the handle on that. Once we get that done, it'll be time to add the two background pieces on the top and bottom. So let me go ahead and get this part finished, and then I'll add the two background pieces, and I'll show you what that all looks like whenever I'm finished with it. So I now have the handle all finished, and the next thing to do is to go ahead and put these two side pieces on, and then the top and bottom of the background here. So just to finish out the mug, I'm going to put these two sides on, press them open, and then put the top and bottom on and press those open, and I'll show you what that looks like in just a few moments. All right, so I have my mug all finished, and I think it just looks super cute, and I'm going to just set this aside now that I've done all that work to that. So I want you to follow along with me with the letters, and I want to show you a little trick that I learned while I was putting the other accessory together. I went ahead and I made each row of the letters. So I went ahead and put these two pieces on the top and bottom of that background, these two pieces on the top and bottom of that background, and kept doing all of the rows of the columns for each of the letters. And then I just put each column together with each other as I went along. So first I'm going to go through and I'm going to go ahead and pick out these pieces that need to be put together, the multiple pieces in each row. I'm going to put those together first. And then once I get those together, then I'm going to come back and I'm going to show you kind of how I put everything together this other way. I don't always do it this way. Generally, I'll do each letter at a time and then put them together. I found this to be just a little bit simpler. So for me, that's the way my brain works. If your brain doesn't work that way, you put the letters together, you put these together however you feel like you need to put them together. I do want to give you a couple of hints while I'm doing this though. So let me get this column put together. I'm going to put the Z column together and this column of the Y put together. I'm going to get those three put together, press them open, and then I'm going to lay them all out and I'm going to show you what that looks like. All right, so I have my 2x2s all sewn together now. So the next part is to go ahead and sew them together in the other groups of 2x2x2. But I'm going to show you whenever I get back. I'm actually going to go ahead and sew each of these together and then sew it all together. And when I get back, I'm going to show you there's a couple of spots that I'm going to recommend that you press your seams open rather than to one side or the other. And I'm going to show you those seams after I get this all completely finished. So let me get this all the letters all put together, and I'll show you what that looks like when I get back. All right, so as you can see, I have the cozy all put together. Now, there is one spot in particular that I would recommend that you go ahead and press open. There's another spot that you could if it's not cooperating with you, but in the Y, here where the left side of the Y meets the middle, I recommend that you press this seam allowance open, and in the C, where the right side of the C meets the middle, you could press that open if it's not cooperating, if it's not laying very flat, but mine actually laid pretty flat today, so I'm pretty happy with that one. But I would definitely recommend pressing this one seam allowance open. Now the last step for the words is to go ahead and add the background to the top and the bottom and then put everything together. So I'm going to add my background to the top and the bottom, and then I'm going to put it all together, and I'm going to show you how to finish this accessory. So I'm so excited to get this almost finished for you. I'll be back with this in just a moment. All right, so we now have the finished block all put together. I am super excited. I have to tell you, those accurate 1/4 inch seam allowances, I know I say it all the time. I know that I've said it multiple times today. Those are super important, and it is so exciting when all of your pieces fit together, and that is super important with these blocks. So I hope that your 1/4 inch seam allowances were accurate. I hope that yours went together as well as mine did. Now, the last couple steps that we're going to do is we're going to take some interfacing, some lightweight interfacing. It is fusible, and it does come in your kit. Don't forget that this is part of your kit. You're going to take that, you're going to put the bumpy side on the back side of your block, and you're just going to lay it out. I do like to lay it on top of the back side of my block first, just to make sure that everything is where it needs to be. And I'm going to press it from this side, and then I'm going to flip it over and press it from the other side. I'm going to leave an opening, about a 3 to 4 inch opening here along the bottom. One of the things that I do like to do is make sure with this seam allowance here, I like to leave the opening somewhere in the middle where that seam allowance is not going to be in the opening. If you leave that in the opening, it's sometimes hard to fold under and get a good press and a good fold under and have it look nice and neat. So once you get the interfacing pressed, you're going to put the backing on right sides together on the top of your block, and then you're going to sew all the way around, leave yourself an opening for turning, and then we're going to turn it right side out and finish this out. So first thing I'm going to do is press my interfacing. Once I get that pressed, then I'm going to sew the backing onto my block. So I'll be back in just a few moments with that all finished. All right, so as you can see, I have sewn the backing onto the accessory block. So I fused the interfacing on, and then I sewed the backing on, and now I clipped the corners, and then I turned it right side out through that opening that I left. Now the last thing to do, after I've pressed all the other sides, is to go ahead and press this opening so it looks like it's closed, and it matches the rest of the seams. Now, whenever I do sew whenever I do sew around and leave that opening, I do go ahead and backstitch just a couple of stitches at the beginning and end of this opening so that you don't accidentally tear out any of your stitches whenever you're turning it right side out. It'll help keep everything where you want it to be. So this is the December Cozy Cocoa accessory for our Back Home Pillow series. Once again, it is the last in our 2024 series. I hope that you have enjoyed making these along with me as we've gone through the year. I have enjoyed them so much. I really have enjoyed showing you how to do these and making each of these accessories. They are so much fun. So once again, check out our website. If you want to get just the accessory kit, if you already have the pillow kit or you already have your pillow, grab your accessory kit. It comes with all the fabric, the interfacing, and your finger snaps, and it includes a paper pattern in there for you so you can just sit and sew. If you don't have your pillow yet, grab your pillow kit. We also have the Helpful Heifer postcard patterns available for the accessory and for the pillow if you need those postcard patterns. So head on over to thequiltedcow.com or check out one of our stores and grab yourself a kit, grab yourself the patterns, and I really hope you enjoy making these. So thank you so much for watching along with me. Don't forget to like and subscribe to this channel. That way we can keep bringing you content like this, and have a wonderful day. Thank you.
Okay, you wicked cool quilters, good job. You made it to the end. We would like to thank our sponsors, Husqvarna Viking Sewing Machines, Creative Grids, rulers, rotary cutters, and mats, and Wilmington Prints for the beautiful fabrics. Thanks for watching.